Just a few words and a welcome from Andrew Campicioni, and then we're going to start with the program.
Ως μέλος της Πολιτικής Επιτροπής θα ήθελα να ευχαριστήσω όλους σας που ήρθατε να τιμήσετε με την παρουσία σας τη γιορτή των παιδιών μας. As a member of the school committee, I would like to welcome you and thank you for coming to honor our little ones, trying to preserve the heritage and celebrate this OXI Day. Συγχαρητήρια στους γονείς, στους παιδιών, συγχαρητήρια και ευχαριστήρια στους δασκάλους, συγχαρητήρια στα παιδιά. Thanks and congratulations to the teachers, to the parents and to the children that they are trying despite and in spite of their busy schedules and activities and whatnot. We must preserve the Greek heritage, we must preserve the Greek paradoxes and ways of thinking. Which brings me to the importance of the OXI Day. Θα πρέπει να διατηρήσουμε τις παραδόσεις μας, την ιστορία μας, πράγμα το οποίο με φέρνει στην ιδέα και την αξία της ημέρας και του εορτασμού της ημέρας του OXI. Δεν είναι μικρό πράγμα το τι έκανε η πατρίδα μας. Όταν οι Γερμανοί και οι Ιταλοί νικούσαν όλα τα έθνη, μέσα σε 10 μέρες πήραν τη Γαλλία, μέσα σε 5 μέρες πήραν την Ολλανδία. Κανένα άλλο κράτος εκτός της Αγγλίας δεν αντιστάθηκε στην αρχή στους Γερμανούς και τους Ιταλούς. Ήταν η μικρή Ελλάδα, πιστή στην ιστορία της να αντισταθεί. Μονότι ήταν αδύνατη, αλλά αντιστάθηκε. No other nation and the whole world owes a great debt of gratitude to the Greek nation, because the Greek nation, a small nation, stood against the Axis powers at the time that no other nation was just resisting the Nazi powers. France was overrun in 15 days. Holland, you know, the European countries, and still it was Greece and England, and even America came to war later. Therefore, this OXI Day, and it's good that we celebrate, αυτή η ημέρα του OXI είναι παρόμοια με την παλιά του Μαραθώνα και των Θερμοπυλών. The whole world, I repeat, owes a great debt of gratitude to the Greek nation, because alone, small as it were, stood the Axis powers. And this is similar to the resistance of the Greeks of that small but glorious nation in Marathona and Thermopylae. And this gave, and that's the important thing that we need to point out again, gave strength and courage to all the allies, all the powers. Αυτό έδωσε η αντίσταση της Ελλάδος, έδωσε κουράγιο και ελπίδα στους συμμάχους μας ότι μπορούν να νικήσουν τον πάνωπλο και δυνατό Χίτλερ. Γι' αυτό αξίζει να γιορτάζουμε την 28 Οκτωβρίου σχεδόν όσο γιορτάζουμε και τις 25 Μαρτίου. It is what we did celebrating the OXI Day as well and as grandly as we do the March 25th. We would have been supplicated. Θα είμαστε γελτρωμένοι στους Γερμανούς και στους Ιταλούς αν δεν κάναμε αυτό που κάναμε. Και ήταν μεγάλες θυσίες, θα δείτε τώρα, και έχω CD αν μπορέσουμε να το προβάλλουμε, το τι θυσίες έκανε ο ελληνικός λαός. The sacrifices of Greek nation in the idea of freedom and liberty and preserve του Χριστού και πίστη στην Αγία και της πατρίδας στην ελευθερία. They fought against us for Jesus' faith and for liberty. Thank you very much.
Before the program starts, I see here that we can start with a prayer. Father, would you say a short prayer here? Come on. First here is James Perivolaris. Happy name day to James too.
Thank you.
All right.
Σήμερα όλοι εορτάζουν, όλοι οι Έλληνες μαζί, τον καλόν Θεό δοξάζουν, όπου η Ελλάδα ζει. Σήμερα μεγάλη ημέρα, την μεγάλη και μεγάλη γιορτή. Όλοι οι Έλληνες εορτάζουν την Ελλάδα την Χριστή.
Sit down. What do you have as level 3, James?
We're learning just the basics. We're just getting started. So the kids are going to learn a couple little alphabet songs that they're learning in their class. Over just a little bit. Get a good picture too. Okay, you ready? You ready? Is everybody ready? Yeah. Okay, ready?
Yes. Είμαι το αλφα, το πρόγραμμα που μαθαίνω στο σχολείο. Είναι το αλφα, το πρόγραμμα που μαθαίνω στο σχολείο.
Nice job. One more time. That's good. Good job. A little louder. A little louder, okay? George, let me get you over here. Go over the microphone. Nice and loud, okay?
Oh my gosh.
Let's have a shot. You ready?
Είμαι το αλφα.
Now we're going to have Sophia and Kaylee. Ready?
Ελληνόπουλα είναι και ένα διαλεκτά και προκομμένα. Είμαστε για την πρατίδα για χρανή και ελπίδα. Την Ελλάδα τη γλυκά μας κλείνουμε όλοι στην καρδιά μας και για αυτήν θα ζούμε πάντα. Ζήτω, ζήτω το 40.
Thomas?
Είμαι τώρα ένα παιδάκι, μα μια μέρα θα με δείτε που θα γίνω φανταράκι και θα με χειροκροτείτε. Θα με τότε παλικάρι και στο νου μου θα έχω πάντα με πολύ πολύ καμάρι τους λαβέντες του 40.
Now we're going to sing the song. Βάζει ο Ντούτσε τη στολή του. Okay, we want to sing it loud. Ready? You guys can participate too if you know the words, okay? Ready? One. Everybody ready? On 3. 1, 2, 3.
Όλα τα φτερά και μια νύχτα με φεγγάρι την Ελλάδα πάει να πάρει. Βρέτο φουκαρά, τον σολιάνας που με φέρνει βρίσκει στα βουλά και ταράζει τον αφέντη τα μακαρονά. Αρσιάνο, θα τρελαθώ ξιάνο, με τους σιωλάδες ποιος μπορεί να τα πάνω. Αρσιάνο, θα τρελαθώ ξιάνο, με τους σιωλάδες ποιος μπορεί να τα πάνω. Σε καγίναν ημέρα, με περπάνει ουρά από τον Ζωριά. Δρόμο παίρνει και δρομάκι και πηδάει το μονταβάκι, ξέρει τη δουλειά. Αρσιάνο, θα τρελαθώ ξιάνο, με τους σιωλάδες ποιος μου είπε να τα πάνω. Αρσιάνο, θα τρελαθώ ξιάνο, με τους σιωλάδες ποιος μου είπε να τα πάνω.
No, you can sit there. We'll give you the microphone in a little bit. All right. Now we're going to hear stories from people that lived through the war. Okay, the kids were supposed to talk to anybody that could get them stories from that period of time. Very important so they can get the feel of what their grandparents or even great-grandparents went through, so they can understand and the importance of this day for the Greek nation. We're going to start with Jan.
My papu was 8 years old when his parents said that the Germans are coming. They have to leave and go to the mountains. It was August 1944. After they gathered a few things, clothes and food, they left for the mountains, taking all their animals, goats, cows, donkeys, and pig, with us. They lost their pig. They stayed in the mountains for 28 days until they got the word that the Germans left. When, at that time, all the villagers returned home, finding everything destroyed, burned, or bombed. Everybody was crying and weeping, not having a place to stay, and the winter was approaching.
Now, Penelope is going to tell the story that she got.
My great Yaya Margaret Brevenas was 45 when the Germans attacked her village Skala. She was in the fields working one day when someone ran to tell her Germans came and started to burn down the houses in their village. So she got her donkey and rode to the village. The Germans told her to go to the church where they forced the people to go. She couldn't hear well and thought they told her to go to a different place. So the Germans got mad and started to hit her with a switch. Then finally someone walking to the church told the German man that she couldn't hear well. So the German man let her go. Even though they burned her neighbor's house down, they didn't burn down her house. They killed a lot of people and burned down a lot of houses that day.
Eleni, your turn.
My great-grandfather, Ioannis Angelos, fought in World War II. Although he had many stories to tell us, this one would be my favorite. As they were fighting the Italians, my great-grandfather captured an Italian soldier. He took his belongings but let him keep his personal pictures of his family. The Italian soldier was so grateful for this, so he gave him a nice Italian lock. My grandmother, great-grandfather, and father have seen the lock. Now the lock is probably in a house located in the village Godimo Thebes. At the end of the war, my grandfather came home to Athens and learned that he had a baby girl, my grandmother. My great-grandfather died a few months ago. He was a great man.
Okay, we have a foursome here with the Campisionis clan. We're going to have Ioanna, Thodori, the other Thodori, and Thanasi.
I'll be fine.
You're fine?
We would like to share with you the stories and experiences of our great uncle and grandfather, Papu Andrew Campisionis. During the war, life was very difficult. People did not have enough food. Papu Andrew remembers how in Greece during the Second World War, the people were always so very hungry and desperate to find their next meal. Papu Andrew worked on the railroads during the time. One day, while working on the railroads, some potatoes fell from a passing German train. Papu quickly went to pick them up and to take them home to his hungry family. Due to disparity and great strife for food that was so very, very scarce, to Papu Andrew's amazement, a German officer took out his gun and shot at his legs. He ran home as fast as he could. He was only 12 at the time.
Another day, a well-dressed gentleman wearing very nice clothes stopped by Papu Andrew and Papu Theodore's house. He was very hungry and asking for some food. He asked my great-grandmother for some bread. This goes to how little food there was to be had. Even those well-off had no means to find anything to eat. Papu Andrew remembers watching as his mother took out the only loaf of bread their family had, cut it in half, and gave half of it to this well-dressed man. This was a lesson learned about compassion and generosity that has remained in heart of Papu Andrew for over 70 years. He was 13 at that time.
Papu Andrew had learned to speak some German words. He could go to the German army camps to sell fresh fruit, such as grapes, to the soldiers in hope of taking home some bread to his starving family. One such day, as he was carrying the fruit inside a German camp, a German shepherd viciously attacked Papu Andrew. The vicious dog sunk his teeth into the back of Papu's leg and would not let go. The German soldier just sat back and watched Papu and did not help. Papu today still has the scars on his leg that reminds him that we should always help one another, whether friend or foe. He was only 13 at that time.
Instead of the soldier helping Papu, he threw water on him that he was washing his feet with. As Papu Andrew's German-speaking skill got better and better, he was fluent enough to trade goods with the German soldiers. He would mainly exchange fruit for bread. Wheat was so very hard to find in those days. One day he managed to get 3 loaves of bread. He was so very excited to get home to his family and feed their empty bellies. On his way home, as he was leaving the railroad station, he saw many Jews loaded and crowded on a German train. At that time, in his wise young age of 13, Papu Andrew knew that these were Jews rounded up to be taken to the concentration camps. He understood and saw how hungry and desperate those Jews were on board that train was headed to a very bad place and their final destination. Papu Andrew, having learned about compassion from the goodness and kindness from our great-grandmother, graciously gave a loaf to those Jews on that train. He worked so very hard to get that bread that day, but he learned so very much how it was important to share what little food he had with these strangers that were just as hungry and desperate as his own.
The Germans had burned down Papu Andrew and Papu Theodore's school and library. They had no books and nowhere to learn and read. The very respected and wise teacher announced a campaign for the town. He told all the children to pull together all of their pennies, and as a group they would rebuild the library of books. They all scrapped and managed to pull together enough resources and together bought 300 books. That was extraordinary. To this day, Papu Andrew is the biggest advocate of learning and teaching and books. Is there any doubt as to why he is a profound and most respected professor in this town? Mátame apoto Papu Andrea postin patridamas elada y eutasmos tis imeras tu ohi archise prota me ecclesiasmo que doxologia stin ecclesia. Metati doxologia y taxis ton matiton metin galanolevki simea prosta ekanan parelasi tin sti megali platia. Εκεί μαζεμένοι οι γωνιές και πολλοί αληθιατές χειροκροτούσαν τους μαθητές και σηκώναν ψηλά τα πέλες που έγραφαν «Ζήτω η Ελλάδα, ζήτω το έθνος, ζήτω η 28η Οκτωβρίου».
Η παρέλαση κατέληγε στο μνημείο του αγνώστου στρατιώτη, όπου ο καλύτερος μαθητής και σημεοφόρος όπως ήταν ο παππούς μου Ανδρέας, κατέθετε στέφανη και εκφωνούσε τον πανηγυρικό λόγο για τη σημασία της γιορτής του όχι. Ο λόγος αυτός εξιστορούσε τα κατορθώματα και τις θυσίες των ευζωνών μας στα βουνά της Αλβανίας, πολεμώντας τους Ιταλογερμανούς που ήθελαν να υποθουλώσουν την γλυκαία
más patrida.
Zito i kosti ogdondi oktombrio.
Zito to ethnos. Zito ilada.
Zito i Ameriki στην οποία ζούμε με ελευθερία και σύμφωνα με την πίστη του Χριστού μας την Αγία και της Πατρίδος την ελευθερία και ιερές μας παραδόσεις.
Aya Vlahedna is a tiny village in central Greece, Evrytania. Papothanasi and Yaya Yola and Yaya Katerina de Oliveris were all born in Aya Vlahedna. When Greece fell to Nazi occupation during the World War II, the small village fell under Great Depression during and after the Second War. The villagers had next to nothing. They were cold and hungry. They lived in fear every day. Villagers were afraid of Germans who were speaking in search of the Greek guerrillas, the Andates. The villagers were also in fear of the guerrillas, Andates, who would accuse some villagers of spying. Germans were in the constant search of the Andates, which forced the village people to run and hide outside of their homes. They would hide in the woods and caves. Yaya Yola was born in 1936. Yaya Yola's mom would lock her in the house all day, and she would spend many days alone and scared. Her mom wanted to keep her away from the danger. Papothanasi was born in the woods in 1948. His mom had to hide from the Andates in the woods to safely give birth to my papu. Some families dug underneath their homes, creating hiding places in case of Germans coming to invade their homes in search of the rebels and food, water, or clothing. Yaya Yola's mother and older brother dug out a space beneath their basement where they hid extra clothing and supplies. They would also hide in the secret space whenever there was the threat of German invasion. The Germans occupied the villages nearby in Aganliano to get to Aya Vlahedna. They would need to cross a bridge crossing over the river. The villagers destroyed the bridge to prevent the Germans from arriving to the village. At a certain period, due to the heavy rains, the river was high and the Germans were not able to cross over to the village. One day, when the villagers saw the Germans approaching the village from across the valley, a villager rang the church bell to signal the village of the oncoming threats of the Germans. The Germans thought that the sound of the church bell was a signal to the villagers to attack the Germans. This scared the Germans, and they turned around and left. The Germans threatened the villagers and their lives and in protection of the German lives. They told the villagers that for every single German soldier for every single German soldier they killed, the Germans would kill 100 Greeks. There was a major case that affected many villagers of Aya Vlahedna when there were 3 German soldiers killed. The Germans gathered as many of the Greeks as possible, including some Greeks from Lachedna, and killed them all outside a church in Agrinio in a public square. This happened at church just outside the house where Yaya Maria grew up, in the village of Agios Nicolas Agrinion.
Well, I hope you enjoyed all these stories. For a lot of the older people, it would bring similar memories back. It's very important that young kids hear these stories and understand everything that went on during that time. But I'd like to take it a step further and invite you all to tell your own stories of when you guys moved to the States, what toll that trip took for you, what is the meaning of you leaving family behind and starting a new life here, so that the kids understand your problems in your hard life and they can appreciate what they have now. All right, we're going to sing one last song and then we can enjoy lunch. Okay? The midnight break for lunch. Okay? All right. We're going to sing the Helada Poter de Bethany. All right. You guys are going to have to put some voice behind this. Okay? Ready? Sophia? Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Santo Liva Pukelas Kata Nekanonya Tispoli Sarasan Masana San Putis Tapoya My Edmis Tolas Wisan Kesanatre Yamas Lefteria Yanaka Sumetos Aprovisan Askedos Sumetora Prosa Ilada Potere Bethany Ventis Gazi Povera Camia Monoligo Queremos Posteri Que sana Prosilo Santrava Trava Que sana Prosilo Santrava
Zigo y alas, 1, 2, 3.
Zigo